It's super crispy, just flaking off. What's up YouTube, and welcome back to the channel. Now, as many of you guys already know, this channel is more or less dedicated to maintaining, preserving, and upgrading my Toyota Land Cruiser 100 series. So far, my videos have either been focused on the mechanical aspects of the 100 series or the convenience features. Mechanical stuff like changing out the brakes, the axles, maybe even upgrading the tires on the Land Cruiser. Then on the other end, you've got convenience stuff such as installing the fridge, putting in the drawers, and even installing the lights on the roof rack. So for today, I'm gonna be replacing something that is completely unnecessary. It doesn't net any performance gains whatsoever, and it doesn't add any convenience to the Land Cruiser. So, what am I replacing, you might ask? Well, it's these guys, the outer window trims on the Land Cruiser. Like I said before, they don't really bring anything to the table. However, the ones on the Land Cruiser currently are so bad that it's time to change them out. Technically, you can't really refurbish these window trims. I mean, sure, you can take them out, spray paint them or whatever, but pretty soon the spray paint will fade and it'll probably look worse than what they did before. In my opinion, the only way to fix this is to get brand new ones from Toyota. Now, at $50, $60 a piece, they are pretty expensive, but I think it's gonna be worth it. All the tools and the parts that I use in this video will be listed in the description down below, so make sure you go ahead and check that out. Also, if you're enjoying this video so far, make sure you go ahead and hit that like button. And for more Land Cruiser and Overland content, don't forget to subscribe. Now, let's get started. So this is the passenger side. As you can see, there's a little cracking on the rear door, and if you pull it back, basically the black rubber part peels off completely. On the front, pretty much the same thing, and there's actually dirt inside, I guess in between the plastic and the actual trim piece, but not looking good. Driver side, pretty much the same thing. We've got tears on the rubber, the outer rubber itself, and it's like you can hear it. It's super crispy, just flaking off. The front, pretty much the same thing. I guess just from sitting out in the sun for, I don't know, 20 years, does this to your window trim. So it's time to replace. Here are the brand new window trims, fresh from the factory. These are OEM Toyota parts, so we've got 2 for the front and 2 for the rear. Don't worry about jotting down these part numbers. I will have them listed in the description down below. Let's take a look at what brand new window trims look like. I don't think I've ever bought brand new window trims before, maybe for the RX-7, but that was a long time ago. The finish is a nice flat rubber finish, so it's not shiny, it's actually matte. The rubber is really nice and pliable still, obviously, because it's brand new. On the inside, we've got some nice soft and clean felt that goes up against your glass so it doesn't scratch it. And down here, it looks like this is the part that actually clips into the sheet metal itself. Looks relatively easy to install, but we'll find out. And again, these parts are the same for any 100 series Land Cruiser, so whether you have a 1998 or a 2007, these window trims are exactly the same. Okay, let's start off with this window molding. This is the driver's side front. And before we get started, we will need to remove this tweeter cover. So it actually just pulls straight out. You've got these 2 little clips on the back. Put that aside. And then what we want to do is loosen the little 10 millimeters. There's 3 of them right here, 1, 2, 3. And we just want to loosen them a little bit, not too much. So get your box open. There we go. Once you get them loosened a little bit, you should be able to do it by hand. There's the second one. And the third one. So you just want to loosen these guys a little bit, that way the mirror has a little bit of wiggle room. What happens is the molding is actually pinched underneath the mirror slightly. So by doing this, you'll be able to free up a little bit of room for the molding to slide out. So now with those 3 bolts loosened, the mirror is slightly loose, and you can see where the molding goes underneath the mirror. Now it should be able to slide out without problem. Next up for the front, this is actually front specific, you've got one little screw that holds in the molding at the end right here. So we're gonna loosen that guy. There we go. From what I've read, what we're gonna have to do next is pull up this corner gently, and then the whole molding slides towards the back. Since the door is painted, obviously you don't want to use a screwdriver to pry on this guy because you'll definitely scratch the paint. So what I suggest is use one of these plastic pry tools. You've probably seen me use these guys like a million times before on this channel, but definitely worth the investment. I'll leave a link in the description down below. There we go. Once you hear that click, ta-da! So it seems like the trick is with this guy is you're gonna have to bend the end up slightly, and then this little hook, this piece that hooks onto the inside of the sheet metal is gonna get stuck on the B-pillar. So what you wanna do is lift it up ever slightly and then wiggle it around the B-pillar, and then you'll be able to slide the whole thing out with ease. So for the back, we're gonna do pretty much the same thing. We're gonna pry up the end and try to slide it out. But looking at the new molding, it looks like it has a little extra rubber hook right here in the front. So I might have to pry the front, then the rear, then slide it out. So we'll see what happens. There we go. Now that hook is cleared the body. Let's do the back. Oh, there we go. This one actually popped out a little easier once you loosen the front hook right here. So a lot of dirt in here, but it's okay. Now I'll give this a good clean, and then we're ready to put the new moldings in. So now that we've got the area cleaned off really nicely where the window molding goes, next is to grab your new window molding and make sure it's the right one. This one is the rear, so we're gonna do the rear first. And we're gonna make sure everything lines up, especially with the rear right here where the little quarter glass, I guess, is lined up with all the cutouts. And you're just gonna push it down. You don't need a hammer, you don't need anything. Just push it down like that. And I find it a little bit easier to do it with the window open, because then you can get your whole palm on there. So installation is definitely a little bit easier. Let's move on to the front. So on the front, you're gonna be pretty much doing the same thing as you did on the rear. However, one key thing to note is you wanna slide the molding into the rear view mirror first. So let's give that a shot. And this is the correct molding for the front. What you wanna do is get it kind of where it needs to be. You can have the door open a little bit, it might be easier. Then lift up your mirror slightly. Remember, we took off the bolts for that, and slide it in. It should move in a little bit. So now, everything more or less lines up. Once everything's lined up, just gonna give it a nice push. There we go, front one installed. Let's do the other side real quick. And last but not least, make sure you put your screw back in at the end over here, retighten the 310 millimeters where the mirror mounts up to, and then put the tweeter cover back on. Make sure that you can roll the windows up without the moldings flying out. So here we go. All right. Up and down. Now for the fronts. Very nice. And that is it. Pretty easy, pretty straightforward install. And in my opinion, I think they look a ton better. Totally worth the $220, $30-ish that I spent. What do you guys think? Do you think it's worth the money that I spent? Or is there any other way that I could have refurbished the old ones to make them look just as good without spending that much money? Hit me up in the comments down below. If you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button. And as always, for more Land Cruiser and Overland content, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.